In 1979, London, Nida, a young Indian woman, lives a monotonous life, working at Possett's Footwear and facing daily microaggressions. Her co-worker, Puffin, informs her that a customer, Keith Holligan, is rumored to have murdered his wife, making Nida uneasy. When Holligan comes to the register, he makes an inappropriate advance, briefly triggering a violent fantasy in Nida. Later, Mr. Duncan reprimands Nida for eating biryani, a fragrant Indian dish, in the stockroom, suggesting she eat in the basement instead. Another saleswoman hands Nida a National Front leaflet with racist messaging, inciting a violent outburst where Nida shoves her through a glass counter. Nida retreats to the basement for lunch, where she discovers old newspaper clippings detailing local tragedies. While searching a drawer, she cuts her finger and then finds a small stone marked with a rune and the number 4. Back in her apartment, after touching the stone, she hears a voice identifying itself as Garth, a demon who claims she has inadvertently invited him into her world by touching the talisman with her blood. Nida is visited by the man in white fur coat, who claims he lied about leaving and is not real, before showing her a vision of the apocalypse they can prevent by making 3 sacrifices before May Day. He insists they work together, but Nida warns him not to touch her. Initially, he demands sacrifices, but then states they need a killing per day. At the shoe store, the man in white fur coat pressures her to choose a victim. She hesitates, then asks about that little one before the scene cuts. The man manipulates Nida by showing her supposed crimes of potential victims, leading her to nearly attack a man with a brick before stopping herself. She later throws a brick at another man, motivated by the man in white fur coat's twisted justification, but misses. Haunted by her actions, Nida vomits. Meanwhile, Tim Simons goes missing, baffling his wife, who confirms he has never spent a night away from home before. The man in white fur coat continues to manipulate her, telling her she must be corruptible and that this is his first assignment. He pushes her to consider the workers at the shoe shop as potential victims after she tries to call the police. The man in white fur coat continues to pressure Nida to kill, dismissing her concerns and even encouraging her to harm an old woman. While Nida is at work, police investigate Tim Simons' disappearance and later discover his body near a river. A photo of Nida's mother surfaces at the police station, hinting at an old case. Back at home, Nida experiences violent flashbacks as the man in white fur coat taunts her, calling her a murderer, which she blames on him, and berates her for hesitating, showing her violent imagery, demanding she choose a tool to continue her mission. Nida, pressured by the man in white fur coat to choose a sacrifice, drinks heavily in a pub as he points out potential victims, detailing their misdeeds. Nida is particularly disturbed by the story of a woman who let her sister drown, but the man directs her to Keith Halligan, a man who strangled his wife. They follow Halligan back to his messy apartment, where he makes a crude pass at Nida. Feigning interest, Nida lures him into the bedroom. While Halligan prepares for their supposed tryst, Nida retrieves a hammer from her bag. She strikes him from behind, initiating a violent struggle. As she attacks Halligan, the man in white fur coat encourages her. They both end up bloody and beaten, and Nida demands to know why the man led her to Halligan. The man explains that Keith is ineligible because to be chosen for sacrifice, the subject must not be directly responsible for another human's death. Disgusted by the violence and futility, Nida decides she cannot kill another soul. Nida struggles with the moral implications of killing an innocent person, fearing banishment from demon school and eternal loneliness if she fails her assignment. She and the man in white fur coat observe Michael Smart, an upcoming MP, at Possett's Footwear where Nida works. A racist saleswoman voices her support for Smart, making him appear potentially sinister, but the man reminds Nida that they must avoid targeting the innocent. Later, the police investigate the murder of Keith Halligan, interviewing Bob, a pub owner, who mentions an Indian woman, Nida, drinking heavily on the night of the murder, and a bartender who recalls she works at Possett's. Nida and the man plan to intercept Smart, but their plans are interrupted when the police arrive at her apartment. The police question Nida, focusing on the fact that she sold Halligan's shoes at Possett's. As Nida attempts to evade suspicion, the man in white fur coat observes, hinting at her failing the assignment. Nida, driving the man in white fur coat, who is upset about their encounter with the police, heads to a political rally for Michael Smart. Smart delivers a speech focused on voting and national identity. Afterwards, Nida and the man drive to a rural road where the man urges her to choose a different victim than Smart, but she refuses. Mr. Duncan, driving Smart's Jaguar, arrives at a train crossing where Nida intentionally crashes into his car, disabling it. When Mr. Duncan approaches with a pipe wrench, Nida attacks and bludgeons him to death with the wrench. Despite Nida's actions, the authorities, during interrogation, reveal that the talisman is no longer blood red, implying that the required sacrifices were not met. Nida justifies killing Mr. Duncan by saying he showed her visions of fire and burning people. The police point out the grief Mr. Duncan's family will experience, while Nida seemingly descends further into delusion. Later, at midnight, Nida learns she was cast out, prompting the man in white fur coat to invite her to join him in eternal oblivion. Ultimately, Nida accepts, and they walk hand in hand toward a tunnel of light, leaving behind a world descending into fiery explosions and a dark fog.